Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Catherine and this is Raspberry Reads. I was thinking about what type of video I could do for you, and I always really enjoy the kind of comparative videos where if you like this, then why not try that? I really enjoy Jen Campbell's videos that she does, and I can link one below for you. Now, I am not even going to pretend that I have as much literary knowledge as Jen. I can't pull that many recommendations just out of thin air. So I'll leave that to her as an expert. But what I can do is give you a few suggestions for if you like certain tropes or themes in a book, then a book that you could try. So yeah, we'll just see how this goes, and hopefully you'll enjoy some of the suggestions I have to offer for you today. So I've got 8 kind of comparisons, if you wish. So the first one is the trope of forbidden love. And you could think that I could go down sort of the romantasy route. I'm not doing that. I'm going to suggest The Prophets, and that's by Robert Jones Jr. I'll put up a photo for you. Now, I read this book a few years ago, and I bought it on the recommendation from Simon at Savage Reads. Again, I can link his channel. At the time, I didn't really gel with this book. It was fine. I gave it 3 stars, but I do think about it a lot. And it's the theme of that forbidden love that stayed with me. I didn't entirely get on with the writing style. I found it a little bit too poetic for my liking, but I did appreciate how the storyline of the forbidden love was written, and it worked so well. It's basically set on, I think it's a plantation, and it's 2 enslaved men and their romantic relationship. Yeah, it's a beautiful story. Even if I didn't rate it 5 stars, I think a lot of people will enjoy it. And if you like the trope or the theme of forbidden love, that's looking at something a little bit different context, then I would really recommend trying The Prophets. A second common theme trope is a quest, right? So if you're a fantasy reader, that tends, like The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings type of thing, then that trope of a quest probably appeals to you. I'm going to recommend a children's book to you, and this is By Ash, Oak, and Thorn by Melissa Harrison. This is a middle grade book, I would say. I've read this twice now, and this book is about 3 hidden folk, so like they're like almost like borrowers, and they go on a quest, a journey, to try and figure out why the world is changing. There's a lot of themes of environmentalism in here, looking after the land, folklore, that type of thing. It's got lots of really good messaging for children in it, and I love their quest. I think it's such a beautiful story. So and I should say that my partner Lucy bought this for me as I think it was a Christmas present. And so you don't have to be a child or have a child to read this book. I read it for myself the first time I read it, and I very much enjoyed it. So yes, if you like quests, then I recommend By Ash, Oak, and Thorn. Okay, if you like true crime, but you also like an environmental angle, so think like Aaron Brockovich, then I would recommend Wastelands, the true story of farm country on trial by Corban Addison. And this book I listened to last year, I believe, and it's all about the hog farming industry in, I think it's the Carolinas in America. And it was such an interesting true crime documentary. Not much to say on it other than it was very interesting. So if you like to listen to nonfiction crime with an environmental or even sort of social justice theme to it, then I recommend Wastelands. If you are the type of person that enjoys suspense or speculative fiction, so thinking suspenseful speculative, then I recommend Metronome by Tom Watson. This is Tom Watson's debut book, and I listened to it last year on Libby, and it is such a weird ride. It's about this couple that are on an island, and they're basically imprisoned on the island, but there's just a lot of weird stuff going on. And yeah, if you're the type of person that likes to not entirely know what you're reading, but just enjoy the journey of trying to piece it together, even though you might not entirely understand at the end, then I would recommend Metronome. Right, the next two recommendations are kind of like a pairing, if you will, for a couple of reasons. So firstly, we're going to look at father-son relationships, and then we're going to look at mother-daughter relationships. And with these two books, they are very well-received books, but they were written some time ago, and they're not necessarily spoken about as much anymore, so I just wanted to kind of give them a little shout out to remind us all how good they are. So yeah, if we're taking father-son relationships first, Tinkers by Paul Harding. This won some sort of award, might have been the Pulitzer, back when it was published. And it is such a beautiful book. It's a slim novel, and it's about dying. But it's mainly about a father-son relationship and looking at the sort of family trauma or sort of family themes that keep coming up in terms of how a father and son treat each other. And it was just such a beautiful story. The writing was so good, and the theme of the grieving and death, but with respect to a father-son relationship, is really stuck with me. So if you haven't heard of Tinkers before, then I would really recommend you checking it out. It doesn't take very long to read it all. And then alongside that, so we're thinking mother-daughter relationships. There's lots. I tend to read mother-daughter relationship books quite a lot, but the one that I wanted to re-recommend is The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan. I read this book in high school and did a project on it, and I forgot how much I enjoyed it. And it's set in San Francisco, and it is all about an Asian family and their relationships, and looking at sort of the connection to China and ancestry and traditions and that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, that is not a unsung book by any means. It's so popular, but I don't hear it talked about that much anymore on booktube. So yes, shout out to the Joy Luck Club. Okay, another trope is enemies to lovers, right? It's all over fantasy, romantasy, and I'm not going to pretend for 1 second that I'm an expert on romantasy, but I did read Neon Gods by Katee Robert either a year or two ago, and that is a great book. It is very steamy, so if you don't like that kind of content, then don't read it. But first of all, it is a reimagining of a Greek myth, so if you like that sort of thing, then maybe check it out. But it was such a cleverly done enemies to lovers trope, in my opinion, that is really stuck with me. And yeah, so if you're looking for some steam and you like that sort of trope, then I recommend Neon Gods. And the last trope or theme that I wanted to recommend today is a sweeping saga. So these are those chunky books, historical fiction, where you just sort of get lost through the ages, and there's lots of them. But one of my favorite authors is Annie Proulx, and Barkskins is up there with one of my favorite books. Barkskins looks at the forestry industry from the kind of cour de bois early pioneering part of America all the way through. And it also covers not just in America. From what I remember, they looked at, I think it was New Zealand and the forestry industry there as well. Yeah, lots of accidents, tragic accidents, and evolving families over time, but it centers on the lumber industry, the forestry industry. And yeah, it's such a fascinating book, that if you like those sort of chunky books that cover the family over a long period of time, or not just one family, actually covers many families over a period of time, then Barkskins is the one for you. Yeah, so those are 8 recommendations for you today. And if you enjoy this type of video, then let me know in the comments below. If you're looking for recommendations for other tropes, then please put suggestions down below. Out of the ones that I've mentioned today, do you have any recommendations for these particular tropes? I'd love to hear them, as always. But yeah, so I hope you're doing well. I hope you're enjoying whatever it is you're reading, and I will see you soon in a new video. Take care.